So it's not for kids.
Elena's been checking out albums from the library lately.
Yeah.
CDs. Remember compact discs?
I remember. Yeah. Even though that was like our primary medium, I'm not nostalgic about it. I'm not huge, other than the convenience in some cars.
They're like arguably like worse than vinyl for a number of reasons.
Vinyl based, cassette based, MP3 fine, CD kind of just inconvenient.
The thing about CDs, right, is
yeah, where are you going with this?
Helena has been picking
with CDs.
The thing with CDs is like everyone in the car is going to be listening to it, right? So you got to pick music that is going to be enjoyed by all audience members. The most successful, I think, CD that we've managed to curate from that list is the Churches CD, the one with like the hand in the TV.
It's pronounced Chvrches.
Chvrches. Right? Which one has the hand in the TV?
I think that's Hand in TV by Churches. TV. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the first 3 tracks are bangers, and then like the rest of the album is like low key skippable. It's like it's not bad. It just doesn't hit as hard as He Said, She Said, for example.
Yeah, that's fair.
Screen Violence. That's the name of it. I just looked it up. And then California is like an okay kind of like follow-up.
In the city. That one? Yeah.
No. What? No.
California.
Right. I see what you're doing.
That's the Churches song. Yeah.
Yeah. By Churches.
Oh, sorry. Standing up in the that one by Churches. We haven't done a Anthony Kiedis impersonation yet.
Probably for good reason.
Welcome to the episode of Chef's Table. Wait. I can do this for an hour. That could just be the episode.
How do you fit like Reiner Knizia into his lyrics? Because it feels like those are like a pair of words that would make their way into a Kiedis
lyrics. Reiner Knizia coming in and eat ya. Make a game is simple. Run into the trouble. I got a dice to the meeple. Reiner Knizia. I don't know. I can't. It doesn't quite. It's not. I never knew that this game had an game bone. It says. Top fast food fries. One of our patrons was asking.
Oh, we need to get this in for them too. The Churches and Anthony Kiedis stuff isn't enough.
yeah. Not enough banter.
Yeah.
I was mulling about that one. I specifically hate In-N-Out fries, but I don't know that I like particularly like glaze a particular fry. I do think Wendy's has good fries. They just have nothing I can eat.
Yeah, I think Wendy's is like minimum B tier, could be A tier, depending on the day. I think McDonald's fries are overglazed. I'm going to bring them down a bit. I think I'd probably shove them in the C tier.
I like a good McDonald's fry, but I do think they're a little overrated.
When McDonald's is peaking, like when they, like you know, everyone on staff is like actually enjoying themselves because their manager's not a fucking asshole or whatever, and like they just got the fresh batch out, you know, they can really hit. But I think like if people were just be honest with themselves, the average McDonald's experience is like oversalted, overgreased, like C tier. More often than not.
I wouldn't go as low as you, but I do agree that when they nasty.
Yeah. Now, I know you hate In-N-Out fries. I find them bad, but moderately edible compared to...
I would rather starve than eat In-N-Out fries.
Moderately edible to Burger King's fucking fries, dude.
See, everyone says Burger King is like the worst. I just think they're like mid.
They like dry my mouth out. Like In-N-Out fries taste like nothing. They taste like cardboard. They taste like the communion wafer of fucking fries.
I'd rather eat cardboard than In-N-Out fries.
But like I'm telling you, Burger King is like actively destroying your mouth. It's like, where's the best fries though? You think it's like
I don't
Carl's
think there
Jr.?
are any good fries. You mean Hardee's for our East Coast listeners?
Just in case they don't know.
Welcome to Shelf Stable, a podcast celebrating board games that have stood the test of time. I'm your host, Kenny Katayama.
And I'm your other host, Tom Bowers. Today, the featured topic is how to offload your games. How to get them the fuck out of your house. But before we talk about that, we'll just talk about some of the things we've been playing recently, because that's what we like to do. Kenny?
Choo-choo! I got to play another 18XX. I got to play 1830 Railways and Robber Barons. This is originally from 1986. Designer Francis Tresham and Bruce Shelley, Mayfair Games. If you recognize that name, it's because Francis Tresham designed Civilization. And you might also recognize it because Francis Tresham created the 18XX genre, was kind of the one that started it. So 1830 wasn't the first game. 1829 was the very first game. This was the follow-up. But 1830 became the structure and kind of hit it off. It's the one upon which all other 18XX games kind of riffed or came. It's the genealogy to a certain extent.
The grandfather.
And I can see why. It still holds up. It's very stock focused because all 18XX games have an operational and a stock round. Most, I should say. And in this one, whether you do well or not is primarily based on the market, I would say. You can think more like a game like Acquire, for example. I enjoyed it a lot. This was a very mean game. As a reminder, previously I had played 1880. 1880 feels a little bit more on rails, no pun intended. You don't really have as many opportunities to really screw people over, at least in the games we've played. But 1830 was like, I did some mean stuff to people and I don't regret it, but it was fun. I think that I can see why this blew up, because this is simultaneously just a can of worms of like, ooh, look at all these things we could do with this. And also like it juicy enough that people would have like picked it up in the first place. Because I think that's the trick, right? There's a lot of depth to these games, but sometimes it can be a little harrowing. I think there's a reason that people continue to play this despite it being the OG, and also that people continue to recommend it as one of the first ones you start with. I don't regret starting with a more complicated one. I think it's kind of okay to start with whichever, but if I were to ask someone so far, probably 1830. Continue to love trains. Tom, you love trains in a different way. Do you want to share with the audience?
What are you trying to say, Kenny?
Okay, so I was having like a really difficult conversation at work, and I just get like, beat-oom, and I just have like a picture of Friedman Freese's free ride in the notifications on my phone, and immediately after that is a comment from Tom like, I'd have sex with that.
So the context on the other side of what was going on is in our group chat, we posted the new game alert cover for Brass Pittsburgh. Brass Pits, as we like to call it. Someone said, now that is a sexy train game cover or something like that. Like it wasn't me, it was someone else. They were like, that's like the sexiest cover. It might actually get me to play a train game. I was like, there's gotta be other sexy trains out there. So I went hunting and I posted like every train that was like conceivably fuckable, like that it appears on the cover of any game that has ever been published. And I didn't find one that outdoes Brass Pittsburgh. Whoever the artist is, which I should probably have looked them up for this bit, they did an amazing job, admittedly. It does look really fucking sick. They set a new standard for train covers.
Yeah, the future of trains.
Yeah.
Trains have never been this sexy.
They've never been this fuckable. You know, it makes me think, because we always like to joke about how Reiner Knizia is like, his game's reprinted with sexless furries.
Yeah.
They should instead do like really sexy trains, like re-themes for all of his games.
They do like another Stevenson's Rocket, but the like...
Stevenson's Red Rocket, bro. Yeah. There it is.
Gross. I don't endorse this behavior. I like playing with trains. Apparently, Tom likes to...
So do I. That's what I'm trying to say.
You play with them in a different way than I do. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that was 1830 by Francis Tresham and Bruce Shelley.
I love trains. Kenny, you talked about a game set in the 1830s. I'm going to talk about a game that comes from the 1830s. I'm talking about Koi Koi.
That was a good transition.
Thank you. Yeah.
Koi Koi.
Koi Koi. This is designed by somebody somewhere who is lost in time. Published by no one in particular, but 90% of the time, if you went out to buy a set of Hanafuda cards, which this game requires to be played, you're probably getting them from Nintendo, interestingly enough. It's kind of how they got their start, actually. They didn't used to do video games. They used to do playing cards. Nintendo Hanafuda cards are kind of like the de facto standard, as I understand it. So for those who aren't familiar, Hanafuda cards are kind of like a set of poker cards, and they can be used to play a variety of different games. And just like poker cards, a lot of the games end up involving betting of some kind. If you lived in the 1800s like I did, you would know that life's pretty boring out there. So gambling is kind of like the only way to produce dopamine. You know, we didn't have Minecraft or Fortnite or TikTok or whatever the fuck is trending right now. So it definitely hit different back then. I don't know why exactly that I've been playing Koi Koi all of a sudden again, other than I found my Hanafuda set because it's such a small stack of cards that it legitimately, I think, was like lost amongst the shelf of shit. And they resurfaced, so I've been carrying them around in my backpack, and I just like incidentally have had enough time to kill with someone that I'm like, hey, we might as well like play Koi Koi. I have it right here. I'll teach you how to play it. I still don't really seem to understand it. It feels like it is one of those games that is like on the surface, you think it's luck driven and it's just kind of like random. But the more you play it, clearly there's some kind of skill differential, because the one time that I ever played this against a guy who was from Japan, I lost consistently every single time. So there's clearly some secrets to unlock with this game, and I'm curious about them, but I'm like nowhere close to even understanding the basic strategy, I'd have to say.
I remember you and I played this, and you taught me over Board Game Arena. We played like a couple games of it. And you were like, oh, it's really simple. It's like pretty straightforward. Let's just start playing. And then we started playing, and you're like, oh, actually, I forgot this rule. And then I was like, oh, shit. You were like, oh, wait. And yeah, if you do that specific thing, then it's one of those games, you know, it's got a lot of history to it.
Yeah, exactly. Like the biggest problem is that it's kind of like Mahjong, where like a lot of the understanding or intuition that you might have for what makes like a set or a hand, because just like in poker, it's not obvious necessarily that like the ace is better than the king, queen, and jack and all that stuff, but it starts to add up like sort of quick. You can see the heuristics. Hanafuda and Mahjong both have this problem where like the hands that you can form are not like obvious unless you're very versed in the culture, and I'd imagine, you know, or you grew up there, because Hanafuda has like the exact same esoteric things. It's just like, oh, you know, the 5 brights, but one of them's rainy. So the rainy bright doesn't count for a 4 bright hand, but you can form a 4 bright hand if you don't have the rainy bright. And it's just bullshit like that. But at the same time, that's kind of the charm, right? Is that it has this like history, almost sort of like exotic character to it, especially here in the States, right? Where it's not necessarily as common.
It's part of what I like about Mahjong. So
yeah, exactly.
That's Koi Koi from the 1800s. Continuing with our 1800 theme, I got to play World's Fair 1893, designed in 2016.
Oh, we're really taking them back,
Kevern,
huh? Like shelf stable, like fucking know your history type shit.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
This is published, the version we played was published by Renegade Games. Well, let's talk about the game itself first, but then I want to talk about the headcanon. So,
okay.
This is a fairly tight 3 rounds. You draft cards from one of the 5 available slots, and which slot you draft cards from, you actually get to place an area majority counter. And so you're playing 2 games at the same time. You're collecting different cards and resources for points, and you're also vying for control of the lot that you collected the cards from. And the two kind of interplay. It starts hurting your head. It kind of gave me Calico vibes, where if I just accepted that I wasn't going to do well, it was just a fun, breezy, cozy experience. But if I was trying to optimize all my plays, my brain started hurting because there was like 5 different directions to go in. Collect things to get the most points, and there's a lot of different ways to get points. I enjoyed it. Not the kind of games I seek out typically, but I had a fun time. But let's talk about this headcanon. So we start dealing and showing examples of the cards and everything. And there are like no people in this game. Every card has like unique art. And it's just like these beautiful landscapes. I think Beth Sobel did the art on this one. And you have like, you know, these beautiful buildings and landscapes and things like that. And I'm like, where are the humans?
Yeah.
And then finally some humans show up and it's like these old, like blacked out, like black and white photos of them, you know, either drawn or taken of these dead people from the 1890s. So the only visible humans that you see in this whole game are like these portraits of people that are deceased. So I'm like, either this game is like a 28 days later post-apocalyptic alternate timeline history where nobody showed up at the World's Fair because they all died the day before, or it's like there's like a ghost scenario, like the ghosts of these people are the ones that are going to the fair. And, you know, you see yourself in one of the pictures and you're like, have I been alive this whole time? But actually I was a ghost in 93. Anyway, we ended up landing on more of the 28 days later scenario where the cubes we had were robots.
Right.
So maybe like Tesla or something had showcased these automatons at the World's Fair. And then they went haywire and killed all the humans. And so we are playing the robot overlords that are vying for control of a post-1893 society that's been eradicated of humans. It was good. It was a fun time. It was enhanced by the story that we put together.
I almost wonder, this is definitely a tinfoil hat. I am not trying to accuse anyone of anything. If they like just left out people because it's a period in history, especially if is it set in America? Is that where the World's Fair was? Do you know? I wonder if they just were like, we can avoid all controversy by not depicting anyone, you know, like.
I might have been that. I mean, okay, before people come at me in the comments, there are a few cards that have humans on them. Right. Very tiny humans in them. I would say they're in the minority. Most cards just have these like barren landscapes, like these liminal spaces. And for me, it was very striking. The board itself has no humans on it. And we're talking about a fair. There were a lot of people there, even for the time. Like, right. It's just like that whole thing really tickled me in a way that I found enjoyable.
Yeah, it creates an uncanniness for sure. It's like, now maybe you're playing the World's Fair and it's like all the employees are there. It's not open to the public yet. Maybe that's what's going on.
Maybe, yeah. But still, you'd have people working.
Yeah.
They'd show the construction then. Okay, one more thing on this game. This game has coins in denominations of 1, 2, and 4. 4, Tom.
Okay.
That is buck wild. If I were to tier rank the frequency of coins in games, it goes 1, 5. Sometimes you got 3s, and 2 is like right after that. No, never do you put 4, and you don't put 4 in when you don't put 5.
Right.
And the only reason I can think is because these medals that are awarded are in denominations of 1, 2, and 4 as well. So they wanted to reuse the art asset for the medals for the coins because it uses the same.
They're like, I'm not paying someone to draw another fucking number.
I'm not paying someone to draw 5, but we do need something bigger. That's the only reason I can think of.
You'd think they could have just like scaled it to be 1, 2, and 5.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Having a coin that says 4 in your hand in a game where there's already no humans is like, I felt like I was in a dream state. Like I felt like I was having a fever trip and I was going to wake up and be like, that was weird because there's no way there's a game like that.
It's very Lynchian, you know?
It was Lynchian.
It makes you wonder if that's what they were like going for.
Like I got goosebumps. Anyway, that was a World's Fair.
There's something going on for sure.
Yeah. J. Alex Kevern and Renegade.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm finally going to bring us up to the modern era, but we're not going to go too modern here. We're going to talk about 2002 Cranium Hoopla.
Yeah.
Cranium is, for you children out there that are listening to this epic podcast, the Skibbity Riz Ohio podcast. Cranium was, I don't know that I assume they're still around. They still are,
I think so,
Targi or whatever.
Yeah.
They're a series of games that feature these reoccurring kind of like characters and categories. I'm not even really sure what holds the Cranium lineage together exactly.
I think Cranium was always based around having board games that tested your brain and did more activities than your usual board game. That was the only kind of through line other than the cinematic universe that they created.
Like basically, if you saw the Cranium logo, it'd be like, oh, you're going to have to think and you're going to have to hop around on one foot. Like, get ready for that shit. Yeah. That's kind of what this game is like. Hoopla is designed by Whit Alexander and Richard Tait, and it is published both by Cranium Inc. and Funko Games. This is a cooperative, hand-shedding, pop culture trivia party game. It's not really trivia. It's more like it's, well...
Thinkia, yeah.
Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself because it leads into my thoughts here, which is like, this is secretly a trivia game. It's trivia in a different way. And I feel like the same thing could be said of like monikers. In a lot of these types of games, it fits very much in the monikers realm, except that everyone's working against a timer rather than working on teams. That's the primary difference. And then I think the thing that makes it interesting is that you roll a die to determine how you can communicate the item. So you're going to have like 5 or 6 cards that depict different events, things, people, places, or whatever. You get to decide based on what limited communication option you are arbitrarily given, which one that you're going to try and get your other team, the rest of the team, to guess. Everyone's working together. I find it interesting because, Kenny, you like this game a lot.
I really like this game, yeah.
And it's interesting to me because there is a way in which this is very closely related to trivia games, which you famously don't like.
Well, I really don't see the through line that you're making. Like, all games can be brought back to knowledge external to the game, and then even further to party games, right? Mm-hmm. Like trivia games are often party games. To say that you like need to know things about the stuff is different than being able to answer a specific question. And I think answering a specific question, you know it or you don't. Even if you don't know a card in this game, you can still find ways to communicate it. That's why like charades is not trivia, because you can still like get a thing in charades or monikers that you don't know, but you can still find a way.
I think the thought that I'm having is like, you're right-ish that most trivia comes down to a binary of sorts where it's like either you're right or wrong. But at the same time, I think the speed and sort of like agility that your team has is somewhat reliant on the range of their knowledge, like collectively.
I agree, yeah, but that's the reason one's fun to me and the other isn't. I would actually enjoy a trivia game where there was a way to suss out the answer based on context clues or using other things.
Almost like a crossword.
Yeah, like a crossword or something. Yeah. And I actually enjoy crosswords sometimes. Like the thing I don't like about trivia though is like, you get a question, you get 4 multiple choices, or you get nothing. You just straight up fill in the blank, and then you have to know what it is. And like, to me, like that's a binary. That's not a skill at that point. I mean, it's a skill, but it's not a skill that I seek when I'm playing games.
Right. And it's not a skill that you're actively cultivating.
The same way some people don't like spelling, or the same way some people just don't like games where you have to do things physically. I just don't like games where you have to recall facts that are like all over the place. Yeah, use your brain. Yeah,
trolling.
Yeah, and that's why I like this game, but I don't like pure trivia games. It's the same reason I think Wits and Wagers is more fun than regular trivia, because you can start to gauge, values and probabilities as opposed to just knowing the answer to a question.
Right. You know what? I came out here trying to swing, and ultimately I'm bunting the ball because I'm just like, you're kind of right. I think like trivia gets more fun when like gambling is involved and you don't have to know the exact answer. So I don't know how to invent I have issues with the way Wits and Wagers typically plays out, though. I feel like it doesn't have good like sort of catch-up mechanics or ways to like go bust or double down or push your luck, right? So I'm still seeking like a game that balances like having superior pop culture knowledge is rewarded in some way that doesn't feel like it eliminates people that don't know everything. And then at the same time, like it's hilarious, Yeah. It's got to be out there somewhere. We're getting close. Anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna achieve that singularity point.
Hopefully. Cranium Hoopla though. It was a lot of hoopla. I'm not sure if this is my favorite in the Cranium line, but I should really get back. I think Kadu is the one that I remember the most fondly.
Kadu's decent. It's just tic-tac-toe where you can overlap. with other players.
Okay, that is not what I'm thinking of. Which one's the one that comes with like the clay that's always dried the fuck out?
That one is, the
That's
original
Kadu?
Cranium and Kadu have the clay in them.
Oh, maybe I'm just thinking OG. You gotta play the OG again.
OG is like a Ludo.
Find like a copy of fucking... Find a copy and then get our own brand new Play-Doh. Right?
I don't know that we gotta find a copy of Cranium. It's basically Sorry or Parcheesi or something.
Yeah.
100 games to play before you die.
Welcome everybody to the part of the podcast where we talk about the 100 games that you are required by law to play before you turn 100 years old and or die, whichever comes first. This is Kenny's list. Game number 45 on this list is Targi from 2012, designed by Andreas Steiger, published by KOSMOS. Targi, it's a 2-player game. I don't even know what else describes this game, but I'll let you take the wheel. Why is it on the list?
Yeah, Targi's on the list as a thinkier, kind of more Euro that's for 2 players. We're getting into the niches here. A lot of these Euros, they are really for 4 players, or at least they're designed with 4 players in mind. This is an exclusive 2-player experience. And not only that, I really do think it plays to the 2-player aspect. It's not like they couldn't figure out how to make this for more players or something.
For fewer, they should.
For fewer. Well, if you think of like Fields of Arle, for example, like Fields of Arle, Uwe just like being like, yeah, no, this isn't supposed to be 3. Like there was a deliberation there, and then the decision was made for the sake of our sanity. Targi was designed with 2 players in mind. We've talked about other 2-player games even on this list, like Jaipur and stuff like that. But I think what makes Targi unique is how Euro-y it is at that 2-player account. It's not a quick filler game. It's not play a bunch of cards on the ground kind of thing. It's got an interesting kind of unique place. I have a few recommendations on the list that, for folks who like this kind of thing, but I really think like Targi is the one to start with. It's kind of a unique action selection system. It's like a cardinal direction system where you take actions along the side of the board, but where those actions intersect gives you a third benefit.
I've seen the mechanic before in other games. I'm thinking of like Automania, for example, does this. There's like a handful where, it's a grid with like lettered columns and numbered rows. It's worker placement with a spatial grid, action selection system somehow.
You get an action on the column, you get an action on the row, and then you get an action where they intersect.
Yeah.
The difference being that because the spaces are so limited with 2 players, you really mess people up a lot of the time here. Unlike many worker placements where you just accidentally mess someone up or you just don't mess other people up, I think in Targi, you can explicitly take an action that is a weaker benefit just to deny somebody something that they really wanted to get. And that's what makes it so powerful, but do you think Targi is enough of a unique creature that it deserves a spot on this list, Tom?
There is something a little bit different that this one is doing. I don't know that I am capable of articulating it here and now, but yeah, there's something going on with this being a 2-player game. Now, there's other games that come to mind when you say, oh, it's a Euro game for only 2 players, right? We famously love to talk about how Uwe Rosenberg's designs are all like 2-player games. But that's not true. He's not actually designing for an exclusively 2-player experience, with one notable exception, well, besides Patchwork. Yeah. Fields of Arle came to mind.
Yeah.
But I would argue even that compared to Targi, Fields of Arle is a solo game that just happens to work at 2 players.
There's not that push and pull.
Yeah, exactly. There isn't as much action between the 2. And then the only other game that I can think of that could be a contender here, but I haven't played yet, so I don't know. And I don't know if you've played it, is Sobek.
Yeah, I still haven't played Sobek, but that's a good point, yeah.
So I wonder if we would maybe feel differently having played that, because I don't know what I don't know with Sobek. But yeah, Targi is a lot of push and pull while still feeling almost very like Euro. Uwe could have invented this game, not to discredit the actual designers.
That was Targi by Andreas Steiger, published by KOSMOS.
All right, well, enough yapping, enough of that bullshit, whatever the fuck we've been going at for the last 45 minutes. Fucking badass fries that suck dick. I can't, you can't call, I'm just noticing, you can't call something badass and actually mean that it's bad and ass. Like, that's not what that means.
You have to, like, pause.
Yeah.
You'd be like, bad.
It's bad and ass. The shitty fries that suck ass. I'd rather have a buffalo take a diarrhea dump in my ear before I eat at Burger King for their fries. Little throwback for people that are really old on this show.
You're going to get kidnapped by a Saw-like serial killer, and they're going to be like, remember the time when you said, and there's going to be a bison standing over you.
Yeah. Eat the fries. It eats the fries or else it gets the diarrhea again. And then it turns out that's just Burger King's market testing. That's the reveal. It's the king. He takes the mask off. The king.
Do you think that the way they came up with chicken fries, they were like, we got to make our fries better? They're like, what if we put chicken? And they're like, oh, this tastes way better.
Yeah. Oh shit. Sell that.
Let's just do this.
The worst part is that they still give it to you with fries. Somehow this is still the segue into the main topic of this week's episode, the real meat and fucking potatoes, the part of the episode that people come back week after week to listen to, and that is how to offload your games. We're going to teach you the tips, tricks, techniques, the techniques to sell your games. I can't come up. I was trying to think of what would be a hashtag for this, right? Trick talk, tip talk, hashtag.
Yeah, there you go. You nailed it.
Yeah, boom. How do I sell all these games that I have, Kenny? I have too many games. I want to get rid of them.
If you really need to get rid of them, just burn them. Okay. Just burn them all in the backyard.
I can't see anything going wrong with that.
Yeah. It's all biodegradable. It's all healthy, right?
You heard it here first, folks. This is the only podcast you can listen to where we're going to tell you to just go out in your yard and burn your fucking games. Yeah. Why not? Alleviate, you could free your mind.
You can donate them.
I guess you could give them the goodwill if you really want to.
I love the idea of somebody a person really in need at a crossroads, and they're we'll take anything. How they have the sign that's we'll take anything.
This is the second or third time that we've told people to just stop playing games and put them all in the trash. Do we need help? Do you think? Are we suffering? But I was just gonna joke, if you burn the games, then no one else can suffer the burden of not having played it, right? Mm-hmm. They're just if you put it at Goodwill, it's just gonna go on a shelf. Someone's gonna see it and be like, oh, I've always wanted to own that game, and then they own that game, and then they keep going, oh, I should really play that sometime. I got to play Brass Pittsburgh again, but
yeah. Obviously, take anything we say with a grain of salt, but we're definitely
anything. Yeah.
We're doing bits here, don't burn your games. I don't think I need to say that, but
I think you can burn your copy of Daybreak and it's fine because that's all biodegradable.
Well, I'm just saying, don't someone else can play it.
Yeah. I found a way to put Daybreak in the episode. I want to make sure I'm not being
reductive, especially when homelessness is such a serious issue and poignant one where we live.
This is such a 180. I'm scared. Okay, continue.
No, but I do think that donating your games to Goodwill, just to get it out there, is a legitimate thing, right? Somebody will find a home for them. Somebody that will appreciate them. Also, a lot of shelters or public facilities and things accept games. It's not on their list or whatever, but they will take them. That's a thing to consider. Board games, a great way to provide people with entertainment that might not necessarily have access to it periodically, and or where it would be normally expensive for them or would be a consumable thing. So a board game can go a long way. That's part of the reason a lot of libraries have games. So
I was going to say, I think one thing you could do, actually, this is an actual good point. I have not done this yet. So I want to actually issue this challenge to myself of sorts and maybe report back if I ever get around to it, which is take the game either to a school or maybe even a university. I don't know if there's that many universities whose libraries would support owning that type of media. but there could be a decent number of high schools depending on the game, right?
Yeah.
Like no one wants your fucking Lacerda game for high schoolers, but maybe they could take a copy of Pandemic that you're not playing anymore, something like that.
Yeah. There was a Reddit post that was like, I'm running an anime convention. What game should I have on the shelf in the board game section? And people were like, you probably want like 2 copies of Kanban EV. And I was like, who at an anime convention is going to look at your shelf of games that is not their primary hobby, right? Maybe they enjoy it on the side and go, I'm going to sit down and learn this game called Kanban EV. This convention goes for 12 hours. I'm going to dedicate a good amount of time to that.
This is a great segue because I got hot tips for people that are trying to sell board games at anime conventions. Basically, all you need is like Tonto Core, Tentacle Bento, and Let's Go to Japan. You know, or any other game with the Japanese tourism vibe. You can even throw in the fucking the Yakuza Karainer Knizia game.
Yeah, I think that's I think that is actually a really good segue. You need to know your audience when you're offloading. Yeah. Whether you're donating or selling or something like that, you need to make sure that you're not burdening somebody by giving them something, like even if it's a gift, right? Or just bring something that just won't sell. That's a waste of your time. Mm-hmm. If you're going to a generic convention for nerd stuff, you don't bring your juicy games. If you go to a board gaming convention, you can bring whatever you want, and you'll have a good chance of selling it.
Much better chance of selling your fucking packs at whatever games.
Yeah, exactly.
At the nerd convention for specific to board games.
Yeah, you kind of have to know your audience. As a general rule of thumb, the more accessible it is, the more known it is, the higher likelihood you're going to get rid of it. Otherwise, you need to seek online sources. Yeah, we're not going to go too much into like whether you should get rid of stuff or like avoiding getting things in the first place. I feel like we've covered those things. This is really tips on the actual getting rid of things.
Yeah, how to make people want to buy your garbage.
Yeah.
You have a copy of LCR that you apparently you can upsell the shit out of LCR. Our friend, he just goes, he finds LCR copies at Goodwill, and he says especially around the holidays, he can just upsell them. Like he buys them for $1
on Marketplace,
sells them for $5.
That's crazy.
That's 500% return on a piece of shit that costs like nothing to transport.
You heard it here.
I don't like LCR.
Buy up the LCR stock going quick.
That's what we're actually all about, is getting people to buy more copies of LCR. Yeah.
We're going to talk about buying for most of the rest of this. But again, if you can donate, or if you are gifting, if you have somebody in your group that really likes the game and you're like, oh, I think it's okay, just giving it to them is always the easiest way to get rid of things, and a very generous gesture, assuming that they want the thing you're giving them. Okay, but how do you make that money, Tom?
I don't know.
Yeah, it really depends how much money you want to make. The less you want to make, the more you'll move product. So you always got to weigh, like, do I want it out of my house, or do I want to get a good return, or at least make up most of what I paid for it? And if you're willing to wait longer, you're going to be able to sell it eventually, but you'll sell it for more. Things in shrink are always going to be easier to sell, are always going to go for more. So it becomes quality versus time versus money. Oh God, I sound like I'm at work right now. And so you just weigh those factors against each other. As far as like the mediums,
eBay, Facebook Marketplace /
Craigslist. I'm looping those together. BGG, and then Noble Knight / people who buy back games.
Yeah.
Noble Knight is your most consistent. They'll take it, but you'll get the lowest return on it. Yeah, so if you really just want to get rid of stuff,
a pittance, most of the time,
you're probably like you're only gonna want to do Noble Knight if you can ship a bunch of stuff at once, because the shipping plays a part too.
I'd say there'd have to be like more than 10 bare minimum that you are like, these are all playable, like they're in good condition. Desirable games, they don't have to be like extremely niche, they don't have to be extremely target, they just have to be desirable, right? Like all the copies of the Pandemic variants you have,
right?
I'm talking to no one in particular, just get like all of those in one box.
Yeah, But then on the flip side, like Noble Knight is the one that's going to accept your really niche game. So they might be the place to go to for that game that you haven't been able to sell anywhere else. That's actually worth a pretty penny.
Like if you just wanted to be a one-stop event and not have to think about it anymore. If like the real struggle with getting rid of your shit is I don't want to have to do all the work. I think Noble Knight is like the least amount of work for the least amount of return. And you know what? It's kind of fair.
Yep. So let's go to how you communicate things online. Unfortunately, with Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, you're going to get the biggest hits when you list things as $1. Do not add up the total estimated amount for your things and then put that as a listing because people get immediately turned off for some reason.
Or confused. Yeah. Or they think you have to buy everything together. There's just weird like brain logic that goes on with when you see a listing for things. Just put $1 and then say lot of board games sold independently or together. And then you have a picture that very clearly shows at least most of the games that you're selling. That way, anybody who sees something that piques their interest, they'll go and click further. And then in the description, you want to list every game and what you are selling it for. Do not play the dance of just give me an offer because that shit is so annoying and it's going to lose you a lot of people because they're like, well, they're going to ask for something unreasonable, even though you might be super reasonable. Mm-hmm. The thing is like if people want to negotiate, they'll negotiate with you anyway. So put a number and then if they want to offer you something less, you don't have to say I'll accept smaller offers because then they're always going to try to do that. But like, they'll lowball you every time if you say that.
If they want to offer you something less, they'll do it anyway. So just wait for them to message you with it.
I'll say this because this works on me. I haven't really tried doing this myself, but if you take an image of your board games that when cropped in the listing, it shows that there's like clearly some more games. Mm-hmm. But like the image is like cutting it off so you can't make out everything that is there. That's clickbait. And you know what? Clickbait still works. Yeah. Like it's an effective strategy.
You put a really juicy game, but only the edge of it, like slightly in the thumbnail. And then you put in the description, only these games that are being sold.
I just thought of like a way you could really get people, which is like you get like a box that looks like a copy of a rare game, like a Glory to Rome, for example. You put like Glory to Rome on top of the stack and it's like it's cropped and cut off in like one image. And then the next image that shows the rest of that stack of games, the Glory to Rome is gone. And it was like, it was never part of the listing, but it's in the thumbnail.
You just gave me an even more devilish idea.
Yeah.
You just put the Glory to Rome in the picture.
Right. And then, say $1.
And then the moment you post it, you already mark it as sold.
Ooh, like that'd be good.
$30 sold. That's evil.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting bad ideas now. We should steer away.
We're giving you the dark side. We're honest on this show. You know, we're giving you the dark side of the Facebook Marketplace tactics.
The other trick is it doesn't hurt to provide additional details that might entice people. If a game is in shrink, include NIS, new in shrink, next to it. If a game has never been played, you put parentheses open, never played. Those things will matter to the person that it's relevant to and will not hurt for the person that doesn't care about it. Another good one is smoke-free household or pet-free household. That matters to the people that care about it. And then finally, this is less of an enticement and more of a clarification. If you're only willing to meet up with people locally and not ship the game, you need to make that like the first thing in the description. Like, local only, not looking to ship games. Because otherwise you will get like 20s of people just like, hey, are you sending this to Hawaii?
You will have to say it, and I think in the description, in addition to marking it. Like most of the time, there should be a radio button that lets you say like locals only.
Yeah, and Craigslist is a little weird, but yeah. If you are doing shipping, if you're doing, let's just say willing to do local or shipping, you need to specify if you will cover the cost of shipping or they will cover it. Will ship if you pay for shipping, or will ship and cover costs up to $20. CONUS is a common term, continental United States. That just means you're not going to ship to Hawaii or Alaska, but you're willing to ship anywhere else. Or you could say we'll ship anywhere covering the first 20 or something. But you need to provide those details, because if you don't, it's not necessarily going to turn people off, but they're going to ask you that anyway. And then this just spares you a lot of those annoying conversations, I guess.
Save you time.
Ideally, you want to ship multiple things at once, not just because the shipping will be cheaper, but also it's less of a pain in the butt. Shipping and selling games online is always fun until the moment that somebody actually buys it. And then you're like, oh, I can't get out of bed. You know, like you have that total moment where you're just paralyzed. If you've ever been on the receiving end of this, you're like, hey, I've noticed I haven't received a shipping label for this yet. And they're like, I'm so sorry. Work has been crazy. My life has been crazy lately.
Yeah.
And you know that it's just like the other side of that. It's like, I can't get the motivation to actually send you your thing.
Right. My tip to ameliorating this is have the box that you're going to ship it in ready before you list it.
Yeah.
You know, because then at least you've done that step ahead of time and you know kind of like where it's going to go.
Yeah, because listing it is often the exciting part.
Yes.
So you need to like paywall
and
that.
relatively easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you don't have a good box on hand, go find one.
Yeah.
Keep the Amazon boxes that you may or may not be getting to your door, right? And use those to ship back out.
Yep.
Oh, and speaking specifically to shipping labels, for those who don't know, this changed my life quite a bit. Is pirateship. Is it com or is it
I think
.org?
it's pirateship.com. Yeah.
Yeah, pirateship.com. I don't know how they do this, but basically you can sign up for free. I don't think there's any restrictions unless maybe you're doing like a bazillion of these perhaps, but like you can just get the cheapest possible shipping label pretty much every time by going through them. I've never been able to find like better prices than the shipping that they provide. And you can get like the estimate for the label so you know exactly how much it's going to cost you ahead of time.
We're not sponsored. It's just a really good service.
I would take their sponsorship.
Okay, but how do I ship multiple games at once? It's very rare that somebody just wants more than one thing in my sales. Can I entertain you in sweeteners, Tom? Sweeteners is the key, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's likely a game that you would only be able to sell for $1 anyway. Why not just give it to them? It's very rarely going to be the thing that motivates people to acquire the game that they were on the fence about, but they're not going to typically be mad about that. I've never had somebody be like, I don't want this. I just want the game. But what I'll do is I'll sneak in like a small box game or even just a big box game that I know has like very little value that I know I'm not playing anymore and be like, hey, you know what? Have another game on me. I try to make it a game that I think they would like if they like the game that they're purchasing. And that makes the shipping more justified. We've talked mostly about sales. There are other techniques. Swaps. So in-person swaps, whether at a convention or at your local game store. Mm-hmm. The key with the swaps is you want to be very clear about what you're selling and whether things are packaged together. So if you go back to the sweeteners, you got to make that really clear.
Something that says item 1 of 9. You know, if you had like 9 fucking Marvel United expansions and you want them all gone in one sale, then yeah, definitely on every single box, you're putting a sticker or a post-it note that says, this is item number of N, right?
Yes. If you're doing expansion content, you need to make it very clear that this will only sell with the expansions, or this is the cost for just the game. This is cost with expansions, things like that. I don't recommend separating expansions from the base game because almost every time somebody's going to buy the base game and you're going to be stuck with expansions. So if you're trying to get rid of a game at a swap, you really want to group the base with expansions.
Yes.
Would you agree?
Yeah, someone's going to take the base game, and then you'll have a bunch of expansions.
Yeah.
And then it's like, this is just worse.
I remember like 2 years ago, there was the New Through the Ages with the expansion, and they were sold separately. And I think every swap since then, and it's one every 3 months, I've seen just the Through the Ages expansion by itself. Oh. And I'm just like, rip.
It's so painful. Yeah, I mean, like the fact is, I think in general, and I could be mistaken, I think like expansion content broadly has cooled for people. Obviously, like Kickstarter content is a big thorn in this. And I think if you list that there is Kickstarter content in the box, that goes a long way, I'd imagine, to convincing someone. Plus, then less people have to open your box to find out if you have the Kickstarter edition of the wooden fucking first player totem, or if you have the plastic first player totem.
The one different thing about swaps versus sales online or, via marketplace is that people don't know the games that you're putting up. So you need to be wary of how you price things. So that plays into two things. One is, if you're not willing to part ways with a game that is worth more, that looks like ass, then you probably shouldn't put it in the swap. Or if you do, you should be very ready for it not to sell. A good example is like Tigris and Euphrates. Many times I've seen copies of Tigris and Euphrates priced at like $60 or like even more than that. And they do not sell because a lot of people aren't familiar with the game. They see this old box and they're like, ooh, why would I pay $60 for this ugly thing? So that's not the place to sell that. You want to sell that in a marketplace. The other side of this coin is if you price something too low and people aren't familiar with it and you're just trying to get rid of it, even if it's a decent game, they're going to think it's the worst game in the world. Because I see this sometimes where there's a game that's priced at like $5 and it's like a big box and it stays there the whole swap and nobody gets it because they're like...
Because it's Millennium Blades. I'm kidding. Got him.
Sick bird.
Hey.
It's natural thinking. Like, I don't know. What is this game?
Yeah, if I saw like a box that looks like it weighs 20 pounds and you're telling me $5, it's like, okay, $1 per 4 pounds of game.
Yeah.
Like, I get, I'd rather buy Monopoly Deal, which is guaranteed.
You're almost hurting
banger.
your chances by making it cheaper.
In a way,
like, it would be more likely to sell at 15 than at 5, which is weird. But, humans are weird. They'll look at the rating, and let's say it's a 6.1. If it's priced at 15, they're like, 6.1, that's not that bad. And it's $15. It's a big game. I'll take it. They look at the rating and it's $5. They're like, 6.1, this must be terrible.
Yeah. Honestly.
It's so weird, but that's how it works.
It's not rational.
It's not rational.
Rational consuming is a myth that has held up the economy for 200 years. But everyone that actually knows how the economy works knows that that's not how purchases are made.
Yeah. We be wild in here. Anyway, that's more for swaps. Marketplace, people are explicitly seeking out the game, so it's going to be a little different.
And I will say I've had success to this strategy that you're speaking of. Like, I had a copy of Gaia Project for a while that I think I had never played physically. And I kept telling myself, like, one day. And then I was just finally like, nah, fuck it. I can get rid of this. But there was that part of me that was like, no, I want to hold on to this like a little bit. Like I wouldn't be sad if it didn't sell. So I think I literally just saw how much the new and shrink copy was selling at our local game store. Shout out Phoenix Fire Games. It was like $90 new and shrink. And I was like, I'll take a little over 10% off, $80. Like, and it's sold.
Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that, I was saying, don't price things too expensive, but like Gaia Project looks fancy. So then people are like, 80, that's fair,
Well, and then plus they can compare it to the new and shrink price and be like, wow, I'm getting like, $20 off or something,
Especially if you put like never played or something on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So auctions, I know you have a little bit more experience with auctions, oftentimes just like more like purchasing them. I don't do auctions. So I guess, do you have any tips on that?
I honestly don't have the attention span to be like a guru of eBay, but there's a couple of things that I've realized work okay, kind of depending on your penchant for how much time you want to spend on something like this, right? So I do find that finding listings where someone is trying to sell a shitload of games all together, you're just going to get a better price per game overall because their goal is ultimately to small their stack. They got a big ass stack.
We're trying to offload games though, not get games. So how can we reverse engineer this?
Yeah, I don't know.
If you are trying to get rid of a bunch of stuff, bundling it might be an effective way to do an auction or to do like an eBay listing.
Yeah.
I guess that's the corollary.
And do the math and figure out what would the buy it now price have to be for you to feel like you got something that was fair enough. If you just added up the average value of all the games that you were listing, you're like, they're about $5 each. okay, that's your buy it now price. You know, you could maybe bump that by like 10, 20%. And then that way, like, it just saves you the time, saves someone the time and effort if they're willing to just hit send. Because the auction can go on for a while, and it can also just never get started. Having that buy it now price is great.
It's really important when you do list your auction that just in your house, even if it's a virtual auction, you just go like, 20, can I get a 20?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to
mumble yourself like
standing
that.
On the state of Mississippi. Yeah. Anthony Kiedis auctioneer bit. That's something, right?
There's something to that.
Is that a good place to end?
Yeah, you know what? Nice callback. Yeah. Anthony Kiedis, bringing it all the way back around. Nothing wrong with that guy. Don't Google it. I think that's going to do it for this week's episode. I appreciate everyone who tunes in, keeps on listening. We love you. Thanks for supporting us. Thank you especially to Michael, Tyler, Devon, and Josh of the Boise RainBeaus. And thank you to Bonehouse for letting us use your song Raw as our opening theme.
You get so nervous when you talk directly to the fans.
I know. Well, you know, my heart's aflutter. I think of all of them as like my little trains.
Yeah. If you're loving the cast, share it with a friend or on Reddit or on BGG. You can also reach out to us directly at shelfstablecast@gmail.com. Speaking of, we had a listener, Dominic, reached out to us, was listening to the conversations we had with Ray about trick taking. They recommended clubs and diamonds. See, I knew about diamonds. I did not know they had also made a clubs, but makes me want to go and do all four, you know, because hearts and spades are great.
Yeah, you got to complete the gamut.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you, Dominic. All of this and more available in the show notes. If you like what we're doing and want to make more of it happen, consider subscribing to us on Patreon. You'll get access to bonus content and Discord. Tom, we got a special guest next week. We don't want to hint too much, but we're going to talk about women in gaming.
We're extremely qualified for this.
Yeah, we're bringing in somebody that
We're bringing in someone who was a lot more qualified than us, so I'll say that.
Yeah,
it'll be good.
Thanks, everyone.
See you then.
Bye.